Everyone, welcome to the social science talk. Today I'm going to just be talking to you about psychology. I'm going to talk about the A level with you and the applied general. I am Miss Parish. I am the assistant head of faculty. So I'm just obviously going to sort of take you through, hopefully give you as much information as possible as to help you sort of make your choice. So obviously just a quick introduction. Some of you might know me, some of you might not, might have taught some of you already. So I am Miss Paris, like I said, I'm the assistant head of faculty. Obviously we are quite a big faculty. We have Mr. Hayden, we have Miss Ashley, Miss Joyce, and obviously Miss Oki. So we are sort of a big faculty. We've got sort of loads and loads of experience bringing it sort of into our teaching, or sort of through different experiences that we've had. So yeah, obviously, you know, there's a range of us who might sort of be teaching psychology. So, you know, out of the faculty, you'll get sort of a few of us. So obviously, just sort of to talk about our faculty and sort of the sixth one, I suppose, in general. Obviously, we are very successful faculty. Psychology has been obviously in the past a very sort of successful subject, and we definitely build our success on the fact that, you know, lessons is really well planned, organised. Try and make it as interesting as possible. If you talk to obviously people who, you know, take psychology now, I'd like to think they'd say, yeah, it's really interesting. We do fun things. It is a sort of an interesting subject. We definitely are super supportive across the whole of our faculty. We do revision sessions, we do coursework clinics, you know, we guide you sort of through the whole process. You know, we do not leave you, which obviously is a massive sort of benefit of coming to sort of the sixth one. We know you, you know, we probably maybe have taught you before. You know, we actually have quite a lot of people who take all three subjects within our faculty, or at least one, like two. So, you know, we know you have really positive relationships. You know, we do regular sort of one-to-ones. We develop really strong links with sort of parents, keep everybody informed at all times. You know, we give deadlines out, you know, early on in the year. We let you know sort of where the course is going. So we definitely, you know, it's definitely built on sort of communication, and we'll put up obviously every strategy sort of in place to sort of guide you and help you through sort of the process. And, you know, that starts right from the beginning of year 12 all the way until obviously you take your exams in year 13. So obviously, you know, we'd love you to come and take psychology. But obviously it has to be right for you. So obviously the most important thing is that it suits you. You know, I'm sure you'll be watching loads of these videos and you're going to get loads of information, but obviously please feel free, like if you're thinking about it and you're like, oh, I'm just not sure about that, or how is that marked, or how is that assessed, or you know what are the topics that we do, can you remind me of what that looks like, then please honestly just contact me. You know, come and find me. I'm in 115. You know, just come and ask us, or obviously if you're taught by sort of anyone else in our faculty now, please just ask them, you know, because it's got to be right for you. What's really important is that obviously you choose this because it sort of suits you, and it's, you know, you're really interested in and you want to do it. So that's obviously really important to us. So obviously please feel free, don't be shy, come and find us, come and talk to us. So obviously I'm going to talk to you about sort of psychology, and I'm also going to talk to you about the applied general psychology that we also offer. So we do offer A-level psychology, which I'll talk about sort of obviously in a minute, and we do offer applied general psychology. So I'm going to sort of merge the two in this talk. Obviously within our faculty we do offer quite a range of subjects, but obviously they'll have separate talks, so I won't bore you with them. So what is the difference? Because this is sort of the big thing that people are, if you're deciding you want to do psychology, but you're not sure if you want to do A-level, you want to do applied general, the biggest thing is just how it's assessed. So applied generals have coursework, okay? So if you do something like health and social care now, you sort of understand the process of coursework. And obviously A-level is sort of assessed in sort of the traditional way, doing sort of exams. Obviously applied generals do tend to be sort of very more specific. They're looking sort of like employment with in mind, so like health and social care and applied psychology, looking at sort of like, coursework will be based around like you are on placement here, and it's getting you to look at sort of areas within, the local area that offer that sort of support or counselling or whatever it might be, depending on obviously the coursework that's offered. And obviously the style of lessons are going to be different. Obviously, if you're on the A level, it's going to be very sort of, I suppose, classic, what you're used to, in a classroom, teaching and learning, all of that sort of stuff. Applied generals, although you will have that because there is an exam element, which I'll go into, there is also a lot of computer-based lessons, working to a deadline. It's that constantly having to sort of do coursework, where obviously the A level, although obviously independent learning is expected, it's a lot more sort of maybe the style that you're used to. So it depends, and you've got to think about like what suits you, how you felt during sort of your GCSEs. Do you think coursework is more your thing? If you don't think it, if you're not very good at deadlines, then it's potentially not your thing. So obviously, what is psychology? So it is the study of sort of human behaviour, the human mind. So there is elements of biology, there is elements of maths there. So we look at sort of a range of sort of different theories, so biological, social, cognitive, and where has your behaviour been sort of driven from? So it's this focus on the individual. It's a study of individual behaviour. So we're looking at sort of people individually, what shaped their experience, okay? Like how has genes affected your experience, but how has maybe a particular environment shaped your experience? And we look at that then through a load of themes and a load of topics. So obviously the person that we are looking for, the person that we're looking for is someone who's sort of interested, scientific. Like I won't lie to you, there is elements of biology. We do a whole module on bioscience, looking at the brain in sort of a lot of detail. Obviously open to sort of different ideas. We don't particularly ask for any experience necessarily. It's a sixth form sort of requirement. However, obviously there is sort of essays involved, maths for sort of statistical testing. So obviously that might be something you really consider. Like, it is a science. So obviously just bear in mind that there is going to be elements of maths, and there is going to be elements of obviously biology sort of as we're going through. So please just bear that in mind when you're thinking about, when I give you sort of the two options, just obviously bear in mind that, is that really for me? Like, consider sort of how you feel about biology and maths at GCSE. So you will go through a variety sort of skills. So it's testing sort of knowledge of understanding of the theories. It's testing your sort of application. So can you apply your knowledge to sort of someone's actual behaviour? And then obviously, can you sort of evaluate sort of the treatments, disorders, looking at alternative theories. So you really, really, really do develop such a wide range of skills. You're looking at sort of mental disorders, you're looking at sort of forensic psychology. So actually, like, is that really the true cause of someone's behaviour? Or can it, is there another reason someone might behave in that way? So it really is, quite a depth to psychology, definitely. So obviously, to tell you what we learn. So this is on the A level. So if you choose the A level course, it is now a linear course. So it is a 2-year course, obviously, and then you sit 3 2-hour exams. So in year 12, so your first year of sixth form, you will look at approaches and research methods is the first thing we do. So you look at all the psychological approaches, and then obviously you do have to do research methods. Again, it's an experimental science, so you have to know things like lab experiments, field experiments, all the different types of experiments and what can sort of impact, how you sort of set up experiments. And then we look at social influence. So like, why do you conform? Why do you obey? We look at attachment. So looking at like, what's the reason somebody attaches? What type of attachment sort of like children have? What's the impact if you don't actually attach? So if you don't have an attachment with any primary caregivers, how does that then affect you sort of in later life? You do memory, so you're looking at short-term, long-term memory. Obviously, students do actually find that really useful because it can also be used when thinking about, revision techniques, for example. But then we also look at, like eyewitness testimony, and how obviously your memory sort of impacts when you obviously are witness to like a crime, for example. And then you will look at psychopathology, which is sort of the introduction to sort of mental health and mental disorders. So you look in the first year at OCD, phobias, and depression. So we look at them on sort of that level. And then we finish the year off by looking at sort of biopsych, so really looking at sort of the brain in a lot more detail. So yeah, your biology sort of comes into that. Okay, and then obviously it isn't like an option course. So the options that we currently offer are what we then teach in year 13. So at the moment, we do forensic psychology, so obviously criminal psychology. What makes you a criminal? What does custodial sentencing look like? How do we treat offenders while they are obviously in custodial sentencing? We look at schizophrenia, so a continuation, I suppose, of psychopathology, but looking at one mental disorder in a lot of depth. So you look at all the different causes of schizophrenia, what obviously schizophrenia is, how do we treat schizophrenia. So you look at that from a range of different obviously perspectives. And then we look at relationships. So, why do you form relationships? What's the purpose of them? Like, why do we maintain them? How do we maintain them? What does the breakdown of relationships look like? These are all like romantic relationships. And then we do look at sort of like, online relationships. What's the purpose of them? Why are they maintained? So, students tend to really like that topic actually. And then the last thing you do is you do have to do a bit of statistics in year 13, so like the mathsy sort of content. And then we do issues and debates, which is sort of a really synoptic, bringing it all together, and you look at sort of like the real issues like nature versus nurture. Is your behavior driven, from something innate, so genes, for example, or is it actually how you brought up, your environment? So you then look at also things like gender bias and culture bias, and try and have a really evaluative look at what you've looked at over the last sort of 2 years. So that's your A level. That's all the options obviously that we do. Then obviously just a bit of a quick one on sort of applied. So applied, very sort of similar. Again, like I've said, it's sort of internally and externally assessed. So you will have one exam and one piece of coursework to do in each year. So in year 12 and 13. So overall, you take 2 exams and you do 2 pieces of coursework. So very sort of similar. It's very similar sort of content to the A level, just sort of in a reduced but more intense form. So your exam in year 12 again is looking at all the approaches that I've just talked about, so biological, social, all of that sort of stuff, and then applying it to sort of different scenarios like gender, and things like that. And then your coursework is where you actually do your own study. So it's very research method. So you have to learn about all the research methods, but then this is sort of the application. This is the purpose of sort of the applied general. It's kind of a bit more hands-on. So you then go and do your own experiment, and then obviously get your own data, get your own results, analyze your own results and things like that. And then in year 13, you will do health psychology, which is your exam. And that's all about sort of stress, addiction, all things like mental health is, really looked at in a lot more detail. So you look at, what's the cause of stress, what's the causes of addiction, how do we treat them? So that's sort of a whole unit, and we try and take that exam in the January. And then obviously out of these options, we do introduction to psychopathology, just because it has a really nice link to health psychology. So again, you get to pick a mental disorder. So a lot of them pick things like schizophrenia, OCD, borderline personality disorder. So, they pick ones that they find really interested in. And then the coursework is built around sort of you really delving a lot deeper into, what are the causes of it, how can it be treated, what are the psychological approaches to it. So it is just the difference is, although it's kind of similar content, obviously it's reduced on the applied general, but it's a lot more sort of hands-on, and you will have sort of obviously the coursework element. Why you're going to pick it? Hopefully because you enjoy it. It's a really interesting subject. We absolutely love it. It's everything. You don't realize how much psychology has impacted the world that we live in, things that we do all the time. So actually, you find yourself maybe looking at yourself in a little bit more detail, or the world just in a different way than before, because you've got this sort of greater understanding, and it's just so interesting. We try and make it as enjoyable as possible, like the lessons are fun. You develop this sort of understanding of why people behave like they do, why is it, that people have done that? And you can start looking at sort of obviously what's happening in the modern world and start to really analyze, in greater depth on why someone would maybe behave in that way. And hopefully, just because we're a really supportive environment, okay, we really want to develop you. So many of our students sort of go on to university and study psychology. They love it that much, and they've got really invested while teaching the A level. So we really grow and try and nurture that real love of psychology. And obviously really, results have been different because of tags and new tags and all these types of things. But we have always had really excellent results. Okay, students do really well on our courses. The Applied General got amazing results as well. So both on our A level and Applied General, we genuinely do get really amazing results, like really low sort of added, value added, students doing better than their target grades, because we really sort of nurture that exam technique. We put in so much into sort of revision and after school revision. So we really do, we are really there for you and trying to get the best out of you, and we're really invested in you doing as well as you possibly can do. Again, I'm sort of talking about this in terms of progression, but again, obviously a lot of students take it because they're really generally wanting to go on to do psychology or some sort of related field. So it might be sports psychology, educational, cognitive neuroscience. They might want to be counsellors. Do you know what I mean? So we have quite a decent percentage of students going on to then take psychology sort of courses. I know this year it's an even higher sort of percentage of students who really want to go and study some aspect of psychology. So we really do have students who are generally sort of invested, and then obviously it does link to other courses. So like medicine, for example, psychology is now accepted when applying for sort of medicine degrees. Nursing, higher education is amazing sort of preparation for other sort of potential degrees as well. Maybe if you don't necessarily want to just go and do psychology. And again, just in general, it's got loads of transferable skills. Like I said, the evaluation, the application, and it's always amazing to have someone who's got a deeper understanding of sort of people. So there's loads of transferable skills that you've got there from taking psychology. We do obviously, it hasn't sort of happened in the last couple of years, but we do try and do sort of a couple of trips. So I'm just going to sort of leave that there. Obviously, I will talk about more when we get sort of opportunity and we're more up and running, but we definitely we'd like to go to sort of London, we'd like to do psychology and action days, we go to sort of revision workshops. So there's a lot of opportunity for sort of outside the classroom learning as well. And we're really invested to sort of getting that back up and running as well for like when you decide to join us. So obviously, if you are interested, we'd love to see you at the taster sessions. So you are going to have them sort of around like the last week, sort of November, December sort of time, to help you sort of make this experience, like to make the decisions. So please come and sort of experience that, see how you feel. It gives you a chance to sort of obviously talk to us, have a taste of what they are actually, the lessons are actually like we say, we try and make them as fun and sort of interesting as we possibly can on a general basis. So yeah, come and join us. And then obviously if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me or come and find me in school. And yeah, I hope I see you next year. See you later.